Good guys with guns stop crime in Ohio. Truckers threaten to stop shipments to New York City. And Trump promises no one will lay a finger on your firearms. This is The Loaded Mic, and I'm Dan Wass. We always hear the gun grabbers say more gun restrictions will reduce crime. We remind them that the exact opposite is true. Truth is, when more good people are prevented from defending themselves due to the restrictive and unconstitutional gun laws, it puts them in a vulnerable position. Not only are good people put in a vulnerable position because they can't defend themselves and their families, but criminals are also given the upper hand. Bad guys who want to do harm are emboldened by the fact that their potential victims can no longer defend themselves. This is why gun-free zones are the most popular spot for violent attacks. Now, we now have proof coming out of Ohio that the gun grabbers have been lying all along. In a new study by the Center for Justice Research, it was determined that in the year following Ohio's constitutional carry going into effect, crime involving firearms dropped by as much as 22%. Now, how could that be? The anti-gunners are always telling us that we need more gun laws to reduce violent crime. Well, the study was focused on crimes that involve firearms and was conducted from June 21 to June 23. 2023, that is. This included the year before and the year after the law went into effect. So as it turns out, Cleveland, Akron, Columbus, Parma, Canton, and Toledo became much safer when residents were not restricted from protecting themselves in public with guns. The study corresponds with the Kleck-Gertz Armed Resistance to Crime study that showed us there are up to 2.5 million defensive gun uses per year in America. It also reminds us that just because there are guns in the hands of good people and crime is stopped as a result, it doesn't mean that the bad guys are getting killed. Because of the extensive work John Lott and others have done in this area, we now know that in approximately 95% of defensive gun uses, a trigger is never even pulled. Just the mere presence of a gun is enough to stop the bad guy. Now, the increase in public safety because of guns in the hands of good people was so significant in Ohio that the Attorney General for the state made a public announcement of the great news on X. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost said 6 of Ohio's 8 largest cities saw less gun crime after the state's constitutional carry law took effect, according to a study published today by the Center for Justice Research, a partnership between the Office of AG Yost and the Bowling Green State University, end quote. So despite this study and many others like it, groups like Moms Demand Action, Everytown for Gun Safety, and the Giffords Group continue to spread anti-gun propaganda in support of more gun restrictions. Now, it would seem they're much more interested in gun control for political purposes than actually saving lives. So we're going to talk about this and many other things with, he's the kid who beat you up on the school playground and stuffed you in your locker, Anthony Diso.
Yo.
And he fascinates, captivates, and sometimes aggravates, John Chiara.
Wow. We need to expand this audience.
Oh, I always have fun with that. Anyway, you guys know
Dan
I love you.
concocted that idea the other day, Super Bowl halftime, smoking a cigar. I said, how can we humiliate these guys?
How can I pick on my friends? I love you guys. You know that. But it's not actually me. I talked to the producer on that one. I would definitely talk to.
You mean the guy behind the curtain?
Yeah. The Wizard of Oz. The Wizard of Woz. All right. So here we go. Study showing Ohio crime down in some counties up to 22% right after constitutional carry goes into effect. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think I've already seen some people online poo-pooing that.
Of course.
That's not really what's going on. Okay. Look at all these other statistics over here, blah, 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 blah. You know, again, totally disregarding the basic fact that you're trying to give people the right to protect themselves. That's what matters. And these people. I've seen all kinds of stuff last couple of days. People are just being the way they are.
I guess my big thing is, we know now we have big studies, 3 major studies showing defensive gun uses. Gary Kleck study, 2.5 million defensive gun uses per year in America. The CDC study, 2.46, essentially the same, or 2.46 million defensive gun uses. And what was the other one? Oh, Georgetown University study, 1.67 million. The liberal think tank of Georgetown University even came up with 1.67 defensive gun uses per year in America. So you take that away now, take the ability of those people to defend themselves in public, and what's the result going to be? Is it going to be better?
Good.
Right?
Well, it's so funny, though, because, so many people claim to be so empathetic, and they, criticize people on the right for not caring about this, not caring about that. But don't they have any way of looking at those kind of numbers and putting themselves in that position? Here comes a guy with a gun. Here's another guy who's on my side who also has a gun. What are my chances? What's better for me?
I don't know.
I'm not going to control the criminals, right? We already know that.
I think they just they ignore that component, and they compartmentalize the argument in their head. And they just, I can't look at that. We don't look at that reality, because I always look at, like, you're walking through the mall, and somebody comes in and starts shooting the place up. You got the guy who's got a gun, who ducks behind the wall, gets ready, and tries to take a shot. But you got the liberal anti-gunner. What are they going to do?
Buddy, it's not fair. You shouldn't do that.
Right.
Be nice. Put the gun down. We can all get along.
Throw their orange Julius at them or
Well,
something.
they'll be laying face down on the floor, peeing their pants while the bad guys got them under.
That's disgusting.
I don't know. It's just, it just doesn't make sense.
Well, but again, they can't seem to visualize that scenario where that would matter.
Yeah.
And
Well, they think they can talk the bad guy out of it.
Or what?
That's the
I don't
thing.
even think they think that far through it. They just think that because we're us that we're wrong automatically. They refuse to even look at all the other possible things that could happen. This is what I've been getting lately on social media. Here's one thing that I care about. Boom. How come you don't care about this? And because you don't care about that, you're voting for Trump? Like, who lives their life like that? Nobody lives like that.
I think the American Medical Society should put TDS as an actual mental illness.
Yeah.
Should be.
Give them some medication.
I agree.
Because now the government says MAGA is a bad word. It's what?
That's the way they can create any narrative with anything they want, because they got the media behind them. Look what they've done with all the gun terms. Ghost gun. And assault weapon and
gun violence. I can read your lips over there, Dan.
They create this stuff, and it works, because you can go to the range, even like going to the range, you can have gun owners using some of those terms, assault weapon and gun violence and all this stuff. I hear people in the gun community using the term gun violence, and I'm thinking, what? Well, just stop for a second and think about what you're saying.
You're saying the gun is committing violence.
Yeah, you're falling right in line with the liberal narrative.
Does a car kill a drunk driver? I mean,
Exactly.
My BMW murdered him. I didn't.
And you're like, you're taking the word gun and you're putting it with the word violence. That was the whole idea. Put those two words. Remember, what was it, Sesame Street or Electric Company? And they put the one part of the word. Remember this? And like whatever the word was, gun violence. Gun violence.
We should have
Gun
Big Bird hold it up.
Ick, chick, arm, charm, ease, cheese, apt, chat.
Gun violence,
Kids, gun violence.
It's the reason they did that with those little kids shows is because it helps the
Programs your brain.
Programs, right. It programs, and it helps word association. It helps put two words together or two syllables together to create a word. What the anti-gun crowd and the liberal left has done is they've taken these, where they understand that stuff, and they understand that even though we're adults, we can still be programmed like children.
Absolutely.
So they take the word gun, put it with the word violence, and your brain automatically starts calculating and creating images.
So from now on, drunk driving is car violence.
Yeah.
Being
I'm
fat
going with
is
that.
spoon violence. That damn fork.
Yeah, exactly.
Fork made me fat.
Well, unless you got to figure in, I'll start with don't need a fork. Finger foods too.
Yep. Damn hands,
Finger
gotta cut them
violence.
off.
Finger violence.
Well,
Appetizer violence.
as soon as they banned guns in some
There it
areas,
is.
they started going after knives. And look at London. London actually exceeded New York City in violent crime a few years back, and it was a big thing about it because they didn't even use guns; they used knives. So what does that tell you?
I thought guns caused the violence.
Exactly. That's what we thought. That's what we're told, but it's not true. It's violence comes from the human being. But when you take the word gun and you put it with the word violence, you get to envision stuff that's just not true. Our brains can fabricate all sorts of things. Like I used the example, if I said, imagine a pink elephant riding a unicycle with a black top hat. You can envision that, right? You can envision the thing. You've never seen it before.
I just saw John on a tricycle.
That we'll get back to the tricycle story.
Well, actually,
That
the
was
best
fun.
way to make you see the pink elephant is to say, "Don't think about a pink elephant."
Yeah. Because your brain will fabricate this
Absolutely.
stuff. So they take gun, because we all know what a gun is. We might have a different interpretation of what a gun. You might think it's a rifle. I might think it's a handgun, whatever. But we all have our own interpretation of what a gun is. So you take the word gun, and we also know what violence is. You put it with violence, and people can fabricate a visual in their mind. Then they go on and they make decisions based on this new.
Generates fear. You know, it's a good persuasion technique.
So I forget where we even started with that, but
Gun violence. I don't know.
that gets me. That stuff gets me going because people don't recognize it, and when you don't recognize it, you fall into it and you play along. It's
What's
exactly.
that girl on Liberty? What's her name there? Like the blonde girl. Liberty, she goes around talking to people.
Oh, Caitlin Bennett.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she owns that Liberty, what is it, Liberty something.
Yeah, and she had the AR on her back.
Yeah, she was
Cool
talking to
chick.
somebody
Cool
the
chick.
other day, and the girl comes up. She goes, the liberal girl with the mask on and her pink hair goes, "Who are you voting for?" She goes, "Trump." "You're a white supremacist." She goes,
Right.
"Wait a minute." She goes, "Wait." She goes, "How am I a white supremacist?" Because you're voting for Trump. She goes, "Well, explain that to me." She goes,
Yeah.
"Well, I don't have to." She goes,
She says, "Give me one reason why I."
She goes, "Did you vote for Joe Biden?" She goes, "Yes, you did." "Then you're a pedophile."
Yeah.
No, you're a pedophile. You like to sniff kids, and the girl ran away. I was dying. They don't have an argument for anything.
They should put Candace Owens out there with an AR on her back asking
Well,
questions.
Caitlin
Start
Bennett-
calling her a white supremacist.
She's cool. Well, Owens is cool too, but
She catches
Candace
everybody,
Owens.
and they just like, oh.
Caitlin Bennett, she did some really good stuff. I loved the whole imagery of her with the AR on her back at the college campus was really cool. It was basically to say, screw you, scaredy cat left wingers. You know, this is a constitutional right.
Well, kids
Oh,
used
that
to
girl.
bring guns to school. They
Yeah.
had to carry them in the pickup truck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They had
Not
gun
anymore.
Not anymore.
Truck drivers can't even have guns anymore.
Well,
What?
we're going to talk about truck drivers later
You
in
did
the
when
show.
you were driving for
You
Brinks.
can't carry shotguns or anything.
Oh, that's stupid.
You used to be able to.
Well, it depends on what state, right?
Well, you can't interstate a shotgun for protection on a truck. You used to be able to.
What?
I asked a bunch of truck drivers. She goes, "Yeah, we can't carry guns anymore unless we're licensed in that state."
That's all you need. A truck breaks down in the middle of nowhere and you can't protect yourself.
That-
Well, you can transport a handgun through any state. You can transport through the
As long as you
state.
have a license.
As long as you're legal from the state you're coming from and the state you're going to. Basically that's the rule. But I'm not giving legal advice because this stuff changes all the time. I suggest people go and check out each state's
Sure, it has
laws.
to be stored, right? They're not waving them out the window and stuff.
Some states you don't have to store them. Like, well, when we travel, look, some states we had to lock them up and put them in a case and whatever. But some states you can have them on your hip. Some states you can have them right in your freaking drink holder. Some states, I'll bet you some states you can wave it out the window.
Yeah, Texas.
But which brings me to the next thing is because, like in New York, they're neutering, AR-15s and you can't have any accessories. You can't have detachable magazine, pistol grip, muzzle brake, any of these things. But I wanted to talk about our sponsor, who has a product that maybe you can still have this stuff in blue states. It's called the Cali Key, and there's a picture of it. And the Cali Key is a device that removes your AR from the definition of assault weapon. So when they create these so-called assault weapon ban lists, they're created to exclude manually operated rifles and guns like bolt action firearms. So just by dropping this Cali Key, you can see this right over my shoulder, this device into your direct impingement AR in place of your semi-automatic BCG, you'll have a bolt action rifle that falls outside the definition of an assault weapon. So you don't need to do anything else. Give the Cali Key a look, because you could retain all your rifle's features, avoid registration complications, revive your black rifle sales if you're an FFL, regain the ability to do private party transfers, legally transport across hostile jurisdictions, hunt with your AR in places like Pennsylvania, and enhance long-range precision and quieter suppressed shooting. Cali Key has state-specific expert attorney opinions on its website and supports grassroots Second Amendment organizations with its sales. Cali Key's mission is to empower customers and claw back our civil liberties. So go to CaliKey.com and use the discount code LOADED. CaliKey.com, discount code LOADED. All right. I think it's time for Woke Patrol.
Woke Patrol.
Yeah, we don't want to do anything to scare your children. That's the last thing we want to do. We don't want to scare anybody.
So,
Tell us, Dan.
before we play this Woke Patrol clip, I wanted everyone to know that we at the Loaded Mic understand you want to stay up to date on what you need to do to properly address people in the woke community.
No.
We know how serious you take their personal identity.
No.
And we know you would never want to insult people who claim to be a different species, for instance.
Oh, now we're different species. I'm a lizard.
It's our responsibility, Anthony,
Reptilian.
to instantly change our perspective and ignore what science has known since the beginning of life on Earth, if there's the slightest chance it could hurt someone's feelings. In this next clip, we're going to hear from a member of a DID system and who is also a bearded vulture Therian, which is a member of the bird Therian group. And I hope everyone takes this seriously, because when it comes to this topic, you conservatives can be very mean.
Hi, my name is Asa. I am a member of a DID system, and I'm also a bearded vulture Therian. I have two questions. One is for other Therians, specifically bird Therians, and the other question is for other systems who have Therian system members. So first question for other bird Therians, what are some things you do that help you feel more connected to your stereotype? Like, I know that for people whose stereotypes are four-legged, they can do quadrobics, and that helps them a lot. But obviously that's not applicable to bird Therians. I also want to clarify for anyone who doesn't know, quadrobics does not automatically equal Therians. People can do quadrobics and not be a Therian. So that's my first question, how to feel more connected to bird stereotypes. And second question is for systems with Therian alters. Do these alters appear human in our world, or do they appear as their stereotype in our world? Or is it kind of a combo situation? Like, we have someone in our system who is both a guy and a vulture at the same time. We don't consider him a Therian because he doesn't consider himself a Therian. He just kind of exists as both of those things at once. Is that how Therian alters work in
Turn her off.
Just very curious about how other people experience this kind of thing.
I think she
Oh,
should
my
just check
God.
it out and jump off a roof and fly away.
I think we should take her up to the 10-story building and say, fly, bird, fly. Make sure you do your quadrobics before you go.
We got a theme song. Fly, Robin, fly.
She could do her quadrobics on the way down.
That was my kid. They'd never see her again. They would never see her again.
That's pretty weird.
You guys aren't being very nice. That's
What the hell
not-
is she talking about?
I don't know. I have no
What the hell's
idea.
a Therian?
I have no idea. What
Anybody? Anybody?
I was hoping you guys would be able to explain it.
What the hell she's talking
I've
about?
never heard of it before, but I'm curious now.
Something is wrong.
She thinks she's a bird.
these people.
She thinks she's a vulture. So basically, she's going to go and eat roadkill. You just hear her one day going, just on the side of the road. Oh, hey, I know that girl.
Oh my gosh, she looked like by looking at her, she looked like somewhat normal.
But
something's happened.
Transplant hooked up.
Something happened to that girl, and something's happened to a lot of these young people when it comes to their mental stability. I mean, How do you explain that?
She should not be out of the house.
At some point, I think somebody must have let them get away with something to some degree, right?
What do you mean?
Well, somebody who had, do they go to work and
There's no way
act like that?
girl
It's
has
just a
job.
hobby. Who knows? They don't know what the hell. It makes no sense. Obviously, serves no useful purpose that we can see. Maybe I'm just missing something. I'm not empathetic enough. That's
Do you think they're going to grow out? Like this particular girl, you think she'll grow out of it? I don't know. And one day just realize that she's been like stupid the whole
It's
time?
going to be on the internet forever.
Imagine.
Marrying her
Hopefully,
and then
no.
looking back
Hopefully,
and
she
saying,
doesn't procreate.
oh my God, that's my wife.
That's my wife.
God, these people.
Yep.
Holy mac.
They're so, it's it really is disturbing. We got to move on though.
Vulture.
So you may have seen truckers are planning to stop shipments to New York City in response to the political hack Judge Engoron's $350 million ruling against President Trump and his sons. Truckers bravely exposed some of the worst COVID shutdowns in the world when they parked their trucks in Ottawa to protest the iron-fisted approach used against citizens by the Justin Trudeau regime. Truckers in the U.S. showed solidarity for their Canadian neighbors and helped block shipping between the U.S. and Canada, Detroit, Michigan. Democrat Governor Gretchen Whitmer, who was being considered for Biden's VP, quickly threatened arrest for truckers who dared to block the Ambassador Bridge. But American truckers are now reportedly threatening to stop deliveries to New York City over the grotesque $350 million judgment against President Trump and his sons, Don Jr. and Eric, by partisan hack Judge Engoron on Friday. Aside from first responders, is there another profession in the United States that proudly wears patriotism on its sleeves like the American trucker? And here's a tweet. Truckers across the country are staging a massive protest after Judge Engoron ordered Trump to pay $364 million to the state of New York. Do you support them? What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Shut them down.
Yeah.
Starve them.
Yeah.
I like how our esteemed dirtbag came out and said, oh, don't worry, other real estate people, we're not going to target you.
Right. Trump is a different situation, she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's not. The banks backed him up, and they still, and that piece of garbage judge, his last name should be a moron, because he's an idiot.
Well, Trump is a different situation because he's running for president,
Right.
and they don't
It's
like
all
him.
political. I mean, he's already $1 billion in the hole now.
And
Close.
If he has to appeal, we were talking about this yesterday. I guess he has to put up 10% for a bond in order to even start his appeals.
Yeah.
So you're talking millions. And
I
millions
thought
of
he had to
dollars.
put the whole thing up.
No, that's what I thought too. But I think because you get a bond. If you get a bond for anything, you put down 10%.
Oh,
and
so
give
you
the
don't have
rest
to actually-
Somebody loans you the money, basically, is what it is. But
He doesn't.
Still,
He doesn't need.
Still
but
$100
yeah.
million.
yeah, big deal, right? That's
No, it's only $100 million. I mean,
I think we actually have a clip of a trucker. Can we play that clip?
Hey folks, your old pal Chicago Ray. I've been on the radio talking to drivers for about the last hour 15 minutes. And I'm talking to at least 10 drivers going the other way. I'm heading down from South Wisconsin. And they're going to start refusing loads in New York City starting on Monday. All right? I got about 3 drivers that I drive with. They already vibrated the boss and told them they ain't going to New York City. So I don't know how far across the country this is, or how many truckers are going to start denying loads to going to New York City. But I'll tell you what, you f around and find out. Okay, we're tired of you left this with Trump. Okay, you know, starting to get tired of this, and you know, our bosses ain't gonna care if we deny the loads. We'll just go somewhere else. All right, you know how hard it is to get into New York City with one of these motherfuckers. Man, that. All right.
So
How are they going to feed all the immigrants if the trucks don't go through?
yeah,
Oh, did you see that? She gave $53 million in credit cards for the migrants.
Really?
Yeah, she allocated $53 million. They're all going to get Visa cards
That's
that they can just spend money.
That's good.
let's watch some New York City liberals suffer when they can't get their food and they
They
can't
won't.
get their.
They won't.
Well, the people the business owners will start suffering.
Well,
and
it's
they're going
gonna
to start
happen.
putting pressure on somebody because
New York, she'll call the National Guard in to truck it. The military will come in and move the stuff from the port.
I think we need to go down there and chain ourselves to a pole someplace or something. and
Let's
not let
glue our hands to the pavement.
Exactly.
Did you see what two scumbags did in D.C. and threw pink paint all over the Constitution? And the two guards are standing right there and let them do it?
Mm.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
So pink, meaning
No idea what it means.
Pink.
Just drew it on the Constitution.
well, you know they're not,
And the two guards standing right there
Conservatives.
just watching them.
and you know they're not Trump supporters. You know they're lefties.
All their leftists.
Just one person says, I've been on the road talking to drivers for. Oh, by the way, this is a article by the Gateway Pundit. I want to give them credit. Says, I've been on the road talking to drivers for the last hour and 15 and talked to at least 10 drivers and going the other way. So this is what the video we just saw. So this was the guy. Yeah. So just let's see if this
I
all.
think they'll do it, but I think let's see if our scumbag government does something like Trudeau did.
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Shut their bank accounts down.
Right.
Oh, right.
Let's see if we have that kind of regime here.
Yeah. Yeah. I would love.
Pay attention to that.
I'd like to see the response to that. 'Cause
That will not be good.
Yeah. They're pushing for
See, this is
civil
what
war.
America doesn't understand. Without truckers, you got nothing. You have nothing.
That's what I mean. Let's starve New York City if that's the way they're going to do it.
Starve
And let
them first.
and let the freaking immigrant.
Dirtbags walk. They'll leave.
Well, the immigrants
They're
will
not
leave.
getting anything,
I'm
they're
talking
leaving.
about Hochul and
Oh,
Eric
she ain't never
Adams
going. They're
and the
never
DA, this Letitia James and this judge.
Hochul will send the National Guard to get food for her.
Yeah.
You think she cares about New York State? She'll let you starve.
DoorDash.
She'll send the state troopers out of state to get food for her.
Getting DoorDash from Jersey.
5 Guys. This burger's cold. Drive faster next time, dirtbag.
Gosh.
All right. Well, we've got more coming up. We'll give you a quick brief on what we got coming up. Anthony's got a story. We're going to talk about victim predator society. We're going to talk about these so-called white psychopaths that they're starting to claim. Anthony's got a story on that. And we're going to talk about Trump. So we'll be right back after this break.
The Cali Key removes your AR from the definition of an assault weapon. It lets you keep your rifle with all its features, avoid registration hassles, and transport in hostile jurisdictions. The Cali Key also lets you hunt in jurisdictions like Pennsylvania and enhances long-range precision shooting. Cali Key's expert legal opinions empower informed decisions, and sales help grassroots Second Amendment organizations. Cali Key is your tool to keep and equip your AR, empower yourself, and defend your civil rights.
Our founding fathers saw them coming over 200 years away. That's why they wrote the Second Amendment. Join us in the fight to preserve your gun rights and stop unconstitutional gun control. Gun Owners of America is the country's only no-compromise gun rights organization. Not only do we inform and educate, but we bring the fight to court and win. Your God-given right to keep and bear arms is our top priority. Become a member today and help us take back America. Join us at gunowners.org. All right, we're back, and while we were on break, we were talking to.
We were talking. What's up with Greek
Well, Nadine
people?
was saying what this Therian thing is, and it's delusional. It's psychosis, right? And it was kind of where they think they're an animal or something. So I just wanted to
We
kind
should
of.
put people like that in charge. I said.
So she's a
Any other
flying.
pieces of definition I should put in there?
So she's a flying furry.
Shapeshifters, she says. So
She's a flying.
I'm going to watch her
fury.
shift her shape when she's jumping off that building.
the one thing I wanted to talk about though is the violent attack on Christians at Joel Osteen's Lakewood Church in Houston, Texas. Another tranny who's killing people.
Osteen?
Yeah.
No, not Joel.
Oh, his church got shot up.
I know.
The trans person's name is Genesee Yvonne Moreno from El Salvador, who attempted the mass killing. She is a 36-year-old. She's also gone by the name Jeffrey Escalante and Jeffrey Moreno Carranza. I wrote a whole article in AmmoLand. If people want to check it out, go to ammoland.com. Look for my article. It's called "Is the Political Left Creating a Victim Predator Society?" I believe they are, and I believe it's intentional. Moreno was wearing a trench coat and backpack. She carried out the attack, injuring a 7-year-old boy and a 57-year-old man. Child remains in critical condition. The man was released from the hospital after being shot in the hip. Ultimately, Moreno was taken down by security, which, in other words, good guys with guns were there. So Joel Osteen's no dummy. He knows that you got to have good guys with guns around, especially with all these leftists trying to kill Christians. Houston Police Chief, I got to say, Jeffrey Escalante, or Genesee Moreno, whatever you want to call
him.
Almost like Al.
Appears to be a Hamas Palestine supporter as well.
Oh.
Is she a citizen?
I don't know. It didn't say.
I'm just wondering if she's a legal gun owner or if she's just some wacko with a trench coat.
Well, she's got a history of a whole history of violence and criminal activity under the name Jeffrey Escalante.
So we need more red flag laws, in other words.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the red flag laws would work great. But anyway, it appears that Moreno is a Hamas Palestine supporter. She currently identifies as a woman. So that could change next week. She could be a man next week. Who knows?
Go back to Bobby. Bobby Smith.
Investigators found Moreno with the term "Free Palestine" on the rifle she used at the time of the attack. She was shot and killed by off-duty officers immediately after the attack.
Perfect.
The reason I brought this up, because everyone's heard about this story already, but the reason I brought it up is because it seems like we're experiencing a hatred toward Christians, specifically now coming from the radical LGBT groups, or community, whatever you want to call it. Is this caused by anti-Semitic and anti-Christian rhetoric from the left? Are they enhancing this? Are they perpetuating some of this stuff with some of their anti-Christian media that they're pushing? Their normalization of mental illness disguised as woke politics, all the perverted crap they're pushing in schools, all kind of seems to go around the radical LGB community. So I just wanted to get your guys' thoughts on that. And where's this coming from? Where's the anger? And is there a direct connection between the radical LGB groups against Christians and Jews? What are your thoughts?
Well, you asked if you think that this is being created.
Is it being manufactured through media, through left-wing politics?
It's all part of the same thing they do with everything. Is like, let's create a sense of moral superiority. Therefore, we can judge anything we want.
Yeah.
So we're right, you're wrong. Anything goes in that situation. I mean, at least to some degree because obviously no one in their right mind would think that that's a good thing. But people are going to argue it, right? Like, oh, this is caused by this and by that. This is caused by the Israelis in Gaza, and this is caused by that and everything else. It's like, no, it's a crazy person with a gun. Shoot her.
Yeah.
But people get away with it, obviously. The ideas are out there everywhere, and people say them all the time. I see it every day.
Yep.
Well, there's more.
Oh, boy.
Anthony's girl, Hochul,
Oh, boy.
is intent on making sure these places remain soft targets. We're talking about churches. New York State Governor Kathy Hochul has been insistent on keeping people unarmed and helpless in many public locations across the state, including any place of worship or religious observation. That's actually in the law. Hochul's intent on making sure these places remain soft targets for killers who may want to carry out acts of violence. Upon signing legislation that keeps people vulnerable to attacks in Hochul's so-called sensitive locations, she said, quote, I'm proud to sign this landmark legislative package that will strengthen our gun laws and bolster restrictions on concealed carry weapons, end quote. So trying to make it more difficult, even when we know that lunatics are coming in trying to kill Christians in church. We've seen it. We've seen a couple in Texas. We've seen it.
So she supports it.
She supports it.
But who the hell is she to tell the Catholic diocese what the hell they're going to do with their business?
Yeah.
It's none of her business. That's a private. Churches are private. What is she? Who the hell is she to tell them that I can't carry a gun in their church?
Your belt is private. That's
right.
If you want to put a gun in it, that's your business. But yet she's still telling you that you can't.
She can go landslide down a thorny hill.
I'm stuck on visualizing Anthony's belt.
I was trying. She can go what?
That's what I had. That's what I had for that moment.
That's what he says at home. Hey, you.
She can go landslide down a thorny hill.
Hey, it's gonna hurt, right?
Oh my!
Make sure you're naked too, Ogle.
Oh, this is so ridiculous. See, this is what happens. This is when we go off the rails. We go off the rails.
John's got to have fat jokes.
Anthony's belt. Oh boy. I don't know. I don't know what else to say.
So when did she sign that garbage in?
Oh, that's been part of the.
Oh,
current.
didn't that get hold up with something?
Yeah, but of course, the stuff we never
how
get
our tax money just goes to paying for her little fund of.
$53 million right down the tubes, right? There you go. Give them out hand out the Visa cards.
We never
for that.
We never get stays.
Why don't I get a Visa card? What about you?
I
You
got
want part of that $53 million? It's your tax money.
Yeah, I got to get my own Visa card. Hochul's not giving me nothing.
Anthony gets paid.
Hochul's intent on taking my money.
Oh yeah, no problem giving it to the migrants.
So you had an interesting story, Anthony. Yeah. So I got it up here.
Now listen up, white people.
Who was that guy who used to say that? Listen up, white people. Wasn't that from the 80s on
I don't know.
Local Albany station?
Really?
Yeah.
That we should
I can't
find
remember
out
his
about
name.
that.
Carvey? Something Carvey? Daniel Carvey, maybe it was, or something like that. No.
Somebody local?
Yeah, he would come on and he would be this it was a joke, it was a skit, it was this racist white guy or something.
Kill Whitey.
Anyway.
Kill Whitey.
Kill
Whitey.
Cracker.
What is it? Anyway, so Anthony, what you got?
All right, so this author from the University of California, San Francisco, he was a speaker at the college.
Okay.
And he wrote
Is this long haired guy that I was seeing in the video?
No, it's not him.
Okay.
No. This guy's talking about him suing another thing.
Okay.
But this guy, Dante King, delivered a lecture titled Diagnosing Whiteness and Anti-Blackness, White Psychopathology. Really? John, are you psycho? Just want to know.
I'm told.
We still haven't determined that, but move on.
So he did a 90-minute lecture on how white people are psychopaths.
And he's black or white?
It doesn't say. I mean, I could speculate Dante, but I'm not going to be racist.
Yeah.
Irish guy.
He's Irish. Maybe he's Guyanese. So he says whites are psychopaths, and their behavior represents an underlying biologically transmitted provocativity with roots deeper in evolutionary history. So he goes on to say that white people are in like raping black women. When's the last time you raped a black woman?
Last week.
Been a while, I guess.
He says we're just going around. He says white people are going around raping black women. Where's he going with that?
Where are all the racists?
people.
Where are all the white supremacists? Where are all those white rapists?
Where's that coming from? Why would you say a broad statement like that?
Well, and when it's not when you can't produce these so-called white supremacists, they have to manufacture them. You see the Nazis, the new thing in Tennessee, in Nashville.
Tiki torches?
No, the Nazis with the actually people are saying they're federal agents walking around. They're called the Blood something. I don't know. And it's this whole group of people walking through Nashville with Nazi flags, literal Nazi flags.
Cool.
So yeah, trying to trying to back up the narrative that they've created because they can't actually find these white supremacists in real life. They got to make this stuff up. And then they get so convinced, these lefties get so convinced that this stuff is true. Now they're writing articles and doing speeches on it, like Anthony's telling us.
And he says teenagers, young people who are going out committing home invasions and hitting women over the head with objects and stealing their purses, I want you to just say that's human nature.
So he's defending black kids doing that stuff.
Yeah.
He's defending the black kids for hitting people over the head.
And he goes, later I want to summarize that I'm not seeking agreement from white people at all.
We won't get it.
I don't prioritize whiteness or white people in my work in that way.
Wow, talk about racist. Well, he won't even acknowledge. It sounds like he won't even acknowledge the opinion of white people.
And he goes, there's no discussion about the delusions and the perversions of whiteness. What the hell is he talking about?
Projection.
These are the people that go, they let in colleges, these idiots in liberal colleges listen to.
Teach the kids.
And I was on the news, I was on the internet today, and everything is racism. Everything. White people are this, white people are that. People want is a race war.
Oh, I know.
And it all
just going to tell you, it's not something you want.
In all seriousness, we fight back and we say it's all BS and it's all crap. But the reality is what they are doing is they're dividing the country. They're really making a mess of things because the racism that they're talking about just doesn't exist. What they're doing is they're creating racism.
Absolutely. Creating the illusion of it. That's all you got to do. People believe it. It's just a matter of making people believe stuff.
And black people are getting pissed off at white people because they actually believe that there's still this so-called systemic racism.
No such thing.
There's no such thing.
Well, somebody posted something today on one of my feeds where they had, blacks for Trump, basically. And they're like, really? What's wrong with these people? This and that. I go, it's a free country. They're individuals. They can choose whatever they want.
Yeah, if you're dumb enough to vote for Biden, then, you shouldn't talk.
I don't get it. We should clear some of this stuff up. We should do a podcast.
Yeah, and then the guy here, King, said, and their behavior represents an underlying biologically transmitted proclivity with roots deep in their evolutionary history.
So we can't help it.
Right.
Okay.
Right, exactly. So we can't help it.
Help me. Help us.
Yeah.
Give us Visa cards.
Help me, smart black man. Please help me. Help me get rid of my whiteness and my privilege that I don't have.
It's just so it's so bad, and I
I'm
wish
trade in my white privilege card.
I wish these people would recognize what's happening because it's not good. It's not good for the country. It's not good for anything.
But small brain rodents like the liberals listen to it and they believe the crap.
They do believe it.
Those
Yeah.
bird people.
Do you go around calling people derogatory names and
Nobody does.
raping women? I mean, where's he get his info from?
Well, and that's the kind of info that people that aren't looking for it don't see that. They go, oh, there's nothing wrong with universities. Universities are fine. You're crazy. I know one guy's telling me all the time, you got no evidence that universities have changed over the past 40 years. I'm like, what?
Go to a lecture and see how much has changed. They're not teaching these morons anything that's going to help them in the work area at all.
Do something.
Somebody will do something, and I think it'll be Trump.
Well, the colleges are losing money. Like Harvard is getting absolutely no money from the Jewish community. They lost billions of dollars. They're closed. They're going to close.
Didn't we just have a college here in Albany?
Yeah, St. Rose done.
St. Rose closed down. Yeah.
Don't worry, that'll be a migrant fortress in about a year.
Got a lot of buildings over there.
Yeah, that'll be full of migrants. I'll guarantee it.
Yep.
Well, Trump spoke at an NRA, big NRA meet, and he said that he promises the NRA that if elected, no one will lay a finger on your firearms. And he's talking about, and he said he would roll back the Biden administration's zero tolerance policy that revokes federal licenses from firearms dealers that violate gun laws. So they've created this zero tolerance policy, which means that firearms dealers going to a gun shop, if they make one little mistake, let's say there's a paperwork error that can be corrected later or fixed, make one little mistake, that's zero tolerance, they lose their FFL. So they can't sell anymore. So they're doing everything they can, the Biden administration, to put gun shops out of business. one of many things that they're doing. Donald Trump told National Rifle Association members on Friday that no one will lay a finger on your firearms if he wins the presidency, vowing to roll back Biden-era gun restrictions. He said, quote, every single Biden attack on gun owners and manufacturers will be terminated on my very first week back in office, perhaps my first day, he said at the NRA Presidential Forum in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. Former president specifically said he would roll back the Biden administration's zero tolerance policy that revokes federal licenses from firearms dealers that violate gun laws. Like I said, it could be a simple little mistake. It could be a paperwork error or whatever. And he said he would undo regulations on pistol braces, stabilization devices. This is by Politico. Trump also responded to special counsel Robert Hur's report on President Joe Biden's handling of classified documents. He said that if Biden is going to be charged, then he should, or not be charged, then he should not be either. That's another topic. But Trump is funny when it comes to guns, and a lot of people in the gun community came out and said, "What's he talking about? Take the guns first and then ask questions later." And people were really pissed off at that. I was too. And then he switched. He must have had people explain stuff to him and say, wait, you can't do that. You're not going to be, nobody's going to want to vote for you if you're going to be violating the Second Amendment. Right. So he seemed to have changed course. NRA has been a big supporter of Trump. So what do you guys think? Do you think when he gets reelected, he's going to be friendly to the Second Amendment?
He carries a gun. Remember the interview with that?
Why not? Why would he?
Well, he has a pistol permit.
Yeah, he was one of the few in New York City.
He carried his gun every day in New York City.
One in the chamber.
He always had a gun on him. That reporter asking him about, well, do you have a gun?
Right.
He goes, well, it's none of your business.
Right.
Well, what do you mean? Do you have a gun or not? It's none of your business.
Right.
He goes, why do you have to know what I have? None of your business. It's nobody's business.
Well, there's this,
And she got all pissed off. And he's just like, I'm not gonna. It's none of your business.
So you want to know who's fighting for your gun rights? Gun Owners of America. Now, GOA is the no compromise gun rights group. I urge you to become a member at gunowners.org. What have they done? Well, I'll tell you. GOA has secured a preliminary injunction against the ATF pistol brace rule. GOA members submitted a record 85,000 plus comments opposing the ATF's universal registration check rule. They helped enact permitless carry in Nebraska and Florida. GOA secured victories in California, Illinois, New Mexico, New York, Oregon, Pennsylvania, and Virginia. Plus, they won 2 legal victories against the ATF's zero tolerance policy. We talked about zero tolerance policy before. And GOA fought to overturn Joe Biden's ban on funding hunter education, shooting sports, and archery in schools. So with the constant attack on our Second Amendment, we often ask ourselves, what can I do about it? Well, this is what you can do. Become a member at gunowners.org and help us save the Second Amendment. There's this curiosity with the anti-gun crowd, the non-gun owners, the anti-gunners, I should say. There's this curiosity. They want to know. They're like, oh, what do you got there? What's it look like? Because it's like taboo to them, carrying a gun in public. Whereas with us, it's like, okay, I got my wallet, a few bucks. I got a good charge on my cell phone. I got a handgun in my belt. There's stuff that might come in handy.
Might.
So,
well, people don't want to understand that. Again, it's just one more thing that they don't want to try to understand because they think that they know what's right and therefore you should agree with them. And if you do anything that they don't think is right, then you're a bad person and you're voting for Trump and you're a racist and you're a white supremacist, and it all just rolls in together. It's so far gone now, like you said before. It's so far gone that the media has been pounding this since Obama came in, right? That's when things got bad. Everything got worse. And now everybody just says, oh, I have it happen to me every day. Well, you think this, then you're this. Wait a minute. We're talking about a specific thing over here, and then you're generalizing and telling me that you know all you need to know about me because of one thing that you decided is what matters. You decide what matters. You tell me I should care about that. And if I don't care about that, then I'm the devil. That's basically what it is.
Yeah, well,
because then you can justify everything.
Well, plus they're trained to group people.
Right.
You know, it's all these
Labeling,
different groups.
all the time. Right at first. I talked to a MAGA Republican today. Wait a minute. Where are you going with that?
I didn't talk to Billy. I talked to a MAGA
Right.
crazy man.
Right.
I didn't know his pronouns, but
It's true. Yeah, it's true. They have the term MAGA over on the left wing media has become this. I don't know what it's like, this nomenclature now for white supremacy or whatever, and we're going.
I
What?
want him to show me white supremacy, though.
I know. I don't see it either.
Please don't stop talking about it. Show me it.
Yeah. Where
Show
is
me
this?
where it's happened.
Where are these people lurking
Show
around?
me
Where-
the video
Are they lurking around? Where are they?
of it happening.
Where are the way?
But when they say that, right, we were talking about this. Somebody says MAGA Republican. Well, what's MAGA mean? What do those letters stand for?
Yeah.
Make America Great Again. Are you against that?
Right.
Right off the bat. Are you against that? Because that's something that we shouldn't be doing. We should be doing something else.
That's how you should be voting, to make America great.
Well, they've also been trained to say that making America great again means going back to a racist time. That's what they're saying Trump intended with that term. Make America great again means going back to when blacks were enslaved or something like
Who
that.
wanted that?
It's so stupid. I think the left, the delusional leftists, either they believe it or they have conditioned themselves to believe it.
They're convinced. That's
That's
all
like
they
that's
need.
like all this reparations garbage. Sorry, you're not owed anything.
No.
Every creed and culture was a slave at one time. Everybody.
Yeah.
Irish, Italians, Jews, blacks, Egyptians. Are they going to get reparations?
Plus, it's never going to work.
No.
All the things that they
Once
think
you
they
give
should have.
dirtbags money, they're going to want more and more and more. It's never going to stop. Like Newsom wanted to give people $5 million. Where'd you come up with that number? Where did you come up with
went door
$5
to
million?
door.
$5 million to each family or each person?
Each person. So, and you know how that got?
Well, you know what that would do?
That you know how much billions that turned out to be? He couldn't afford it. It was like over $200 billion.
Right.
He's like, where are you getting that money, stupid?
You know why they want? You know that why they would love to do that? Because if you were to do that and give poor people or whatever groups he's talking
They'd
about,
piss the money away in 2 weeks and be back asking for more.
right? But they would be. It would flip. It would flip everything. Now they would be the rich people. It'd only last for a couple weeks.
Rich
but
for 2 weeks.
they wouldn't know how to maintain it. But they would flip. They would basically flip the table.
Yep.
And now middle class and people we consider wealthy or upper class would now be poorer than the very poorest people in the country, because now these poorest people have all of a sudden $5 million. They're richer. I think it's all this left-wing mentality where let's flip it. Let's change everything and flip it around.
Without any kind of idea of what the consequences of that would be. That's the problem they always have. Let's tear this down. Okay, what's your plan? Well, my intentions are good. Okay, well, that still doesn't tell me anything about what you're talking about, and it tells me that you haven't thought it through to the end, because if you did, you could just tell us what it is. What's the plan?
Where would that money go if these people had $5 million? You hand somebody $5 million.
They buy a big house, car, gold teeth, all kinds of clothes and sneakers.
So somebody would
They'd be
make
broke.
Somebody'd make money, I mean,
They'd be broke.
The economy would have an infusion, but then they'd be broke.
They'd be broke.
they wouldn't buy Teslas.
They wouldn't know how to invest it. They wouldn't do anything with it. They would just blow it on crap. And that's,
And then go back and ask for more.
exactly.
Newsom, I'm broke.
We don't really know, so.
Well, I was on Twitter. I was on Twitter goofing around, and I'm trying to find that tweet. But we talked about. I was on Twitter, and I don't know. I can't find it now. Anyway, but I was talking about welfare. In Harlem, see if I can remember this. I saw it on Fox News. In Harlem, they did an interview of a few people from Harlem. They're getting pissed off because the migrants are coming in and they're sucking up their welfare. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking to myself, and they're fighting. They're angry because they don't want the migrants taking their entitlements.
Didn't I tell you that's why they vote?
Right. Because it's dependency.
Right.
So not the poor people in Harlem were on the news, and they weren't talking about fighting to get out of poverty. They're fighting
Stay in it.
to prevent the migrants from taking what they believe is their free entitlements, which is it's so screwed up because now you got three, we talked about this before, 3 or 4 generations of welfare. And you would think that by now they'd be like, how am I going to get out of welfare? How am I going to get out? How am I going to get out get my own business, start my own thing? Anyway, go ahead. I'll let you guys roll.
Plus, I would think that kind of mentality might turn some of those people
It all starts
against the administration. You're letting all these people in, they're taking our money. Let's vote for Trump. Okay. I'd go with that. That should be a campaign.
But I guarantee in 3 years, Hochul will still be the governor because people are stupid. I tell you, New York votes for their welfare. They don't vote for.
Well, look at California.
Hey.
I thought he was out.
No,
They kept him right in.
he cheated his way in. But that, like I said, Governor Hochul will be here. What is the governor's? Was it 3 terms?
Oh, I don't know.
I think we have term limits on governors.
12 years?
I think it's 12 years. So she's going to be here for 12 years. And then another piece of garbage, Democrats going to come in. I don't think we'll ever see a Republican governor here.
Well, everyone's leaving the state. It's going to be a ghost town.
It's going to be. It's all liberals.
The economy's going to suck.
Yep.
The people who stay are going to have to pay so much more
New
in
York
taxes.
will be bankrupt before she leaves office.
Yep.
It's too bad.
I mean, we're just giving $53 million away. It's like, there.
Again,
You're not from here.
Where is that all going to go? Where are these people going to go? Just keep letting them in, letting them in. Where are they going to go? I mean, there's no plan. I don't understand. Nobody's telling anybody what they plan on doing. You can't stop them from coming across the border.
Why not?
What are you going to do?
Governor Whitmer in Michigan is asking people to take them in. Well, you guys would do that, right?
Sure.
You would take in.
Absolutely not.
Come on, Anthony.
No.
Come on. You would take in a migrant family
Absolutely not.
With their pets.
with their pets. That's what they're doing. The Democrats are so desperate now. They've screwed things up so badly that now they need to ask
Citizens to take
people
they don't even know who are probably disease ridden into their home. Yeah, come on in.
Yeah.
Well, plus a lot of those people come.
I bet you there's some liberals will do it.
Oh, I bet there are dummies out there.
Well, I think a lot of people coming across, they're young men. There's not a lot of families coming across.
It's all
You know which
young
ones are
men.
scaring me? The Chinese.
Yeah, I saw that.
A lot of military-age
They're coming
Chinese.
through Canada now.
Yeah.
The sheriffs up in some Putnam County is catching. They actually found a couple frozen in the water.
Frozen
They're trying
Chinese?
migrants.
I don't like
coming through
Chinese
Canada
food at
over
all.
to here, and they're coming through the wilderness, and there's snow up there, and they're dying in the woods.
God.
They're freezing. And he goes. They will do anything to get in here, and that's even dying.
Well, when Trump is reelected, they're getting the hell out. I want to see a mass deportation.
Got to fix the wall first.
And fix the wall. All right, we got to wrap it up though. But thanks for watching the show today on Rumble. We're also on Right America Media, Ops Lens, Simul TV, Key Radio Network, and for the podcast, you can go to practically any podcast platform, whatever your favorite podcast platform is. You'll find us. Also, go to loadedmic.com to see all the archives of all the shows. Loadedmic.com. And remember, the Second Amendment is not a privilege. It's your right.